It's that time of the week again. It's Friday and it's time for This Week in F1. First up, Ferrari baffled by rubbish French pace. The red Fiat with the wee horsey badge was looking pretty solid at the start of the Paul Ricard event. They outqualified McLaren in the battle for third and were sitting pretty in the race. They even looked smart by starting the whole undercut effect and pitting early. So how the flying Frenchman did they finish out of the points? The pace is there the first 2 laps on the tyres, and then everyone keeps going on this pace, and both of our cars are starting to drop, said Charles Leclerc, also adding, "We tried a second stop just to see if we could understand something by going on the mediums again, but there was no way to do managing on those tyres. We were just degrading them very quickly. So what happened? Apparently no one knows. With the upcoming races piled close together, the red Fiat seems to be in a spot of bother, especially now that Daniel, Mr. Colgate model Ricciardo, seems to be coming good for McLaren. The McLarens are looking super good and the Ferraris are looking super fragile. If they keep this up, even Aston Martin will fancy a go at them, not even to mention AlphaTauri, in the championship, with both Vettel and Daddy's Cash looking solid in the last race, and Gasly looking great even though Tsunoda isn't. Hopefully Ferrari will sort this out and we'll have some good racing coming up." Lando planning Ricciardo showdown. Yep, Lando hasn't just grown in the car, he seems to have been watching some UFC or WWE as well. Young Mr. Meme himself has apparently decided to have a talking to Danny Ric after their pretty awesome battle at the French GP. Why? Well, Morris apparently feels Ricciardo was too aggressive. After also calling Gasly an idiot for a idiotic move when Norris was trying to overtake him, Norris seemingly has enough left in the tank to take on the Aussie as well. "I have nothing against Daniel, but he shouldn't have done that," said Morris when referring to the Aussie's so-called aggressive defending when the two were dicing it out early on. "I'm not looking to complain, but for sure we'll talk about it," he added later. Well. That was exactly how my mom would put it if I was being my useless self at someone else's house and she was talking to me about it. "We'll sure talk about this," she would say, and that would end up with me getting my behind whooped at home. But don't worry, Ricciardo fans, I'm sure Mr. Zach Brown will come to the defense of the poor Danny Ric before Lando goes full Chuck Norris on him. Chuck Norris? Lando Norris? Norris? Coincidence? Run, Danny. Run. Mazepin getting under Mick's skin. Huge surprise, eh? Who would have thought that the boss's kid would sooner or later start irritating the legend's kid who was out to make a name for himself? Plot twist, eh? Might be written by M. Night Shyamalan with all of these twists. According to reports, the two are a bit miffed at each other after recent racing incidents where Mazepin had pushed Mick to the wall at Baku and then forced him to the runoff area in France. Norbert Haug, who worked with Mick's dad, says he hoped that Mick had put up a good stink in the Haas debriefing, but not allowed the master of spin into his head. Going on, Haug said that if Spanovsky saw he had the ability to get Schumacher tensed up, he would have the mental edge, and that could lead to an edge on the track as well. Now I'm sure Norbert Haug knows the Schumachers pretty well, but surely Michael's kid knows a thing or two about mental battles. For goodness sakes, his dad lived in all his teammates except Rosberg's heads. And if you took an x-ray of Damon Hill's brain in 94 and 95, you would probably see a picture of Michael eating sauerkraut. But okay, here's hoping good racing wins and nobody gets hurt by some stupid driving. Merc screwed up. So I'm sure I wasn't the only guy waiting for Mercedes to pit Bottas in France to go for the fastest lap on new tyres. He did have enough of a gap behind him to do it. It just never happened. Why? Well, apparently they were hoping for Perez to get a penalty for going off the track limits when he passed Bottas. This, according to Andrew Shovlin, who's the Mercedes trackside engineering director, is what happened. So they didn't stop, so they could be close enough to pounce if Tom Cruise got a penalty, which he didn't. And they were left looking pretty daft. Shame, they can't even blame Bottas this time, can they, Mr. Wolff? Little bit of Mission Impossible for you there, eh? Does Vettel hate Coulthard's guts? Well. Very few of us knew this, but this may actually be the case. Apparently, the two former Red Bull racers And, well, pretty much everybody's least objectionable people in the paddock have a bit of a feud going. Why? Well, David Coulthard believes it's because he couldn't keep his food trap shut. Sebastian hardly speaks to me anymore because I said he's only a shadow of himself, said the Scot, apparently referring to Vettel's poor 2020 season. Coulthard also said that he didn't see why Aston Martin signed Vettel, because he would probably never rediscover his mojo. Well, not exactly a huge surprise then that Vettel isn't too happy with David Coulthard now, is it? Wolff finally praises Bottas. So the Toto, not the band Wolfenstein, finally praised Valtteri Bottas because he showed some mettle on the track. Did he praise him because he's been fighting to get back to his best? Nope. Wolff has praised Bottas because he gave the team crap about their race strategy on the team radio. Seriously. When Bottas had a wheel nut get stuck on his car, Wolff somehow blamed him. When Bottas loses it over the team radio, calls out the team on rubbish tactics, and Wolff praises him. Really? I loved it, said Wolff, that he speaks his mind and doesn't internalize. I am speechless. Oh, with another race coming up in Austria, and then another one in Austria. Yeah, okay. Which is of course Red Bull's ring. It's time for the race predictions, so I have a good laugh on my account as I'm giving pole, get this, to Bottas. Maybe Wolff will praise him again. The one I'm giving to Verstappen, he knows this track inside out, the car's looking good. I'm giving Hamilton second because he's, well, Hamilton. And then third, I'm going for the upset. They're predicting rain and I am putting Lando Norris on the podium. Yeah, laugh at me, we'll see what happens. Fourth I'm giving to Bottas, fifth I'm giving to Perez. He's been doing well, but I'm thinking maybe too much pressure on him this time. Fifth, Danny Ricciardo, looking good, improving, looked really good in France. Followed by Vettel, who's also been looking really good. Leclerc, who's a lot better than his car's performance. Gasly, who's Mr. Consistency. And Alonso to wrap up the points. Too much experience and too good, and he's even been giving Ocon hell lately, hasn't he? Fastest lap I'm giving to Max Verstappen. That's it. Ending out on some memes. I hope you enjoy these. Getting them all over. Send us some if you like us. Find us on Facebook. And yeah, I hope you have a great time. I hope you have a great weekend. I hope your team does well. If you support McLaren. If you don't, I hope your team finishes behind McLaren and still does well. Thanks for listening. Hit that sub button. And thank you. Thank you for your time. And thank you once again for supporting McLaren. God bless and have a good weekend. Talk to you soon.